It is Friday, August 15th, and President Trump wrapping up his Alaska summit with Vladimir Putin, accomplishing what Putin says is a path towards peace after extremely productive talks with President Trump, and in a very rare moment, even speaking English in front of reporters. Wait till you see this. The two leaders meeting for the first time in years, Putin admitting this war never would have happened if Biden weren't president. History was made today, and it was nothing like Trump's Helsinki meeting. We'll show you everything. The media doing their best to sully the summit. CNN, in fact, going as far as being caught live on a hot mic, plotting to twist and manipulate this event. You won't believe this. Anderson Cooper caught red-handed, and more stories as well from around the country, including an update on D.C. Dems finally figuring out the point of federalizing D.C., and they are losing it, suing the Trump administration.
Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you.
So President Trump meeting Vladimir Putin at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson Air Base in Anchorage, Alaska today. The energy at this summit was reportedly off the wall. MAGA folk lining the streets in Anchorage. The U.S. even taking the Russians by surprise. The moment Putin met Trump on the tarmac, being greeted by F-22s and the super secretive B-52 stealth bomber doing a flyover, flying right over Putin's head. The symbolism clear, putting Putin in his place before these negotiations with a reminder who the big guy is in these negotiations. Watch. Trump holding this meeting for one reason, to seek peace, to try and find an avenue, any avenue to end this war, a war that never should have happened. Like Trump always says, this is Biden's war. It never would have happened if I were president. Well, Vladimir Putin admitting this at the press conference in front of the world, saying this war, all of it, thank President Joe Biden for, that he informed and warned Biden personally many times that you'll leave us, Russia, no choice if you do this. Watch.
U.S. And in the end, I would like to add one more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact.
President Trump saying the multi-hour negotiations were very productive. We made a lot of progress, but didn't get all the way. There's still one big issue remaining.
Very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant. But we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, otherwise, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good, productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed.
And to be clear, should Trump pull this off, achieve a peace deal, or even a ceasefire, and convince Putin to give Ukraine back some of their land, not all of it, but just some of it, that alone would be a massive foreign policy victory, probably the largest foreign policy victory since the fall of the Soviet Union. Even Trump's political enemies admitting this, that should Trump achieve this, they would personally nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
But if he could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, had to, in a way, validate Putin's vision of greater Russia, but instead could really stand up to Putin to make it clear there must be a ceasefire, there will be no exchange of territory, and that over a period of time, Putin should be actually withdrawing from the territory he seized in order to demonstrate good faith efforts, let us say, not to threaten European security. If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
But I would second a nomination for a Nobel Peace Prize of Hillary Clinton for Donald Trump if, in fact, that happens. But I see the chances of that being next to zero.
Media, though, doing their best to sabotage this summit. CNN even heard on a hot mic discussing their plan to twist and manipulate the headlines to discredit the summit. Leave it to CNN. A conversation between Anderson Cooper and Jill Dougherty they thought was private, them discussing how they can use the visuals from this event to easily write articles, they said, about Trump applauding Putin and rolling out the red carpet for him. Complete disgrace. Watch.
It goes. He's given honors, so to say, come here. This is a get-out-of-jail visit for him. And this is a big, big deal.
And it's extremely important for Putin domestically.
Yeah. Yes.
This will play really big.
Legitimizes
I mean, the
him at
American
home.
president actually applauds. I can hear it. See the articles now. That American president applauds Putin as he arrives and rolls out the red carpet.
Literally applauds. Let's go back to Jake in Anchorage. Jake?
I'm fine. Just give me my show back.
Show's back.
All right, here we go. So let's go now to Senator Schiff, who we have here. Senator Schiff is joining.
Confirming for us what we all knew they do, purposely twisting the truth to fit their narrative. And he was even worse inside the summit, inside the initial sit-down. When the press was allowed into the room for a few minutes, the liberal press began screaming at Putin. They weren't even yelling questions at him. They were yelling things like, when will you stop murdering Ukrainians? Stop the mass murder. Things like that. Just next level disrespect for the process. You're a U.S. reporter and you're standing 5 feet away from the two most powerful people on the planet and you're screaming like an activist instead of a reporter. Watch some of this.
Press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, press. Let's go.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you.
Now, Trump made it clear before this summit even started that he's not there to negotiate on behalf of Ukraine. He's there representing his own country, the U.S., and to try to mediate, try to exchange ideas, options, create an avenue, any avenue to stop the war. The goal, to convince both sides to a ceasefire, freeze the war, the fighting, and then continue talks to bring about a full and lasting peace. Meanwhile, Trump's crackdown on D.C. crime continuing. The White House releasing this video showing federal authorities arresting an activist last night who assaulted a federal officer 2 days ago. Watch this video they put out.
Coming down.
Dems now suing the Trump administration for federalizing D.C., seething that Trump's cracking down on crime. What's wrong with that? Suing to get their crime back. It's a bit backwards, if you ask me. If anything, they should be thanking Trump for doing this for them. The Democrat D.C. AG Brian Schwab suing for what he called a hostile takeover of the police department, of his police department. But What's really happening here is they figured it out, finally. The real point of this, 2 days ago, Trump revoked DC's sanctuary status, and they're freaking out about this. Watch.
And as Chief Smith has said in the papers, in her nearly 30 years of enforcing the law, both as a federal law enforcement officer and as chief of police, she has never seen any action that causes more risk to the public safety than the actions of AG Bondi last night in her Bondi order of about 7:45 at night.
Now, we had theorized on Monday that this was the real reason behind Trump federalizing D.C. It was primarily about immigration, to take over the MPD, get access to the jails and the jail records so ICE could have that data, the data that they've been denied for almost 15 years now, and it's working. Tom Homan even confirming yesterday that this so far has made ICE's job way more safe and much easier. Let's now see if they do the same thing in these other sanctuary jurisdictions, which will obviously be much harder. Let me know what you think. Should the Trump administration do the same thing in Chicago, in Boston, in LA, in all of these other sanctuary states? Is it worth all the negative press that he'll obviously get? Let me know your thoughts. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.